Oh no! It's been a couple of days since the last video! Will Steve actually make it? Has he not spent hours trying to make another video? Has he wasted other days? Is he too busy? Is he too tired? I don't know, but the questions that beg everyone's mind is Steve going to quit wasting his money on Yoo-hoo and fat-ass foods? Is he going to finally get around to making those YouTube videos that he wanted to do? And is Steve keeping himself posted with everyone's comments and subscriptions and whatnot? Will he do these projects? Find out next week. Same dumbass time, same dumbass channel. Now on to the transition. That was so bad. Okay, anyway. Yes, it is finally here. Everyone's been waiting, everyone's been wanting. And I finally got around to doing it, guys. My top 10 favorite Superman villains. And I hope you guys will actually enjoy this as much as I enjoyed putting it together. A lot of them are popular picks. Some of them are ones that are kind of odd and stupid. But there's a reason that it's my top 10 list. Not yours, mine. So let's roll right into it, shall we? Number 10. Number 10 is Mr. Misha. Yes, the imp from the 5th dimension. And somewhere in the world right now, Hurricane Chris is hitting. And that babies are flying, women have black eyes, dudes are sitting there in full body casts, and I have no idea where I'm going with that joke, but still. I like Misha. I think that he's a very good joke character / annoyance for the Man of Steel. I think he's a character that if they really bumped him up in the comics, he would become a major threat. But sadly with Misha and characters like him, they aren't really fully utilized to that extent. They're just utilized as joke characters. Characters that are just more there to be annoying, to get on the hero's nerves, and are a lot easy to take down. I think the version that I love the most is Guilford Godfrey's version in the animated series. That by far is the best version of Mixus. And I just love the sequence when Clark keeps tricking him into saying his name backwards. But not really much that I can say about the character. Just I like him, and I think that he's a good joke character and an annoyance for the Man of Steel. But let us move on to number 9. And number 9 is another joke character, a character that's not really taken too seriously, and that is the character of the Toyman. I like Toyman simply for the reason that his name implies. He's a guy who commits crimes and fights Superman using toys. He basically hurts people by using slinkies and bouncy balls and tacks and chess pieces, toy soldiers. That's just the one thing about the Toyman that I've always found very interesting, is that he always comes across as a character that you can't really take too seriously, although the 90s animated series really is the version of the Toyman that I like but dislike, because he was so damn creepy in that cartoon. Even his voice just showed that the guy was mentally unstable. And I look forward to seeing the villain version of Toyman, not the hero one, the Japanese kid, but I look forward to seeing the villain version kind of be made a little bit more darker and serious and all that stuff. But moving on to number 8, and much more of a threat. Alright, now to fully move on to number 8, I will be talking about Bizarro. And what is there not to love about Bizarro? He's basically the backwards version of Superman. And plus, the fact that he talks backwards is also makes him it doesn't make him too serious a character, but at the same time, even his powers are switched up. I mean, he's literally the complete opposite of Superman. Yet, one thing about Bizarro is that he has a childlike demeanor. And originally he was an imperfect clone of Superman. I actually prefer the fact that he is from an alternate dimension called Bizarro World, which our world is round, Bizarro World is square. I like that version a lot better. As goofy and weird and out there and fantastical, I like the fact that there is a parallel universe where all the characters' attributes are reversed. You know, but that's just me, though. That's just where I come from. But Bizarro, nevertheless, is actually a pretty good villain for Superman. And one that you can't really hate too much. And moving on to number 7. Number 7 is the only female on this list, and that character is Silver Banshee. And I actually put Silver Banshee in here, I must confess, partially because she looks creepy, yet at the same time she looks so awesome. But I also think that they could add all the many different attributes. Her psionic scream could be used to kind of like drain people's life energy. She could bust the Man of Steel's eardrum. She could shatter buildings. She can fly. She can do all that stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing in the supposed reboot if they'll actually make her a serious threat and part of his main rogues gallery, or if she'll still just be an obscure character to a villain for Supergirl. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what they do with Silver Banshee. Very, very interesting. But we move on to number 6. And number 6 is one that I really want to see in the movies. And that character is the dictatorish emperor of Warworld. Yes, Mongol. I would absolutely love to see Mongol in a Superman movie eventually. Because I feel, in my personal opinion, that Mongol is a very underrated Superman villain. I mean, this guy destroyed Hal Jordan's hometown of Coast City. And on top of that, his son whooped the shit out of Sinestro and took over the Sinestro Corps. You can't get much more vicious and dangerous than that. And also, Mongol can match Superman blow for blow. So pretty much Mongol is one of the few villains that can actually take on Superman and be able to more than hold his own. And I feel very much that Mongol is long overdue for his spot in the limelight in live action movies, and for people to be introduced to his character that don't read the comics. And we move on to the halfway point of this countdown, number 5. And number 5 is another character we have not seen in the live-action movies that I want to see. And one of my personal favorite Superman villains, and that is the villain known as Parasite. I think Parasite is a very awesome looking and very menacing character. But sadly, the 90s cartoon is about as close to menacing and awesome and lead villain-esque as you're going to get with Parasite. And it bothers me because I feel Parasite is a dangerous enough character. I mean, look at, even though he looked like Grimace in All-Star Superman, it's like, look how uncontrollable he was in that prison sequence. That version of Parasite would be awesome to see in a movie, because there'd be literally nearly almost no way to actually stop him. And I think that would give Superman a significant enough threat to try to battle. But that's just me. I'm sure a lot of other people have differing views on this. But we move on to number 4. And number 4 is one that everyone has been talking about. And it should come as no surprise, but one of Superman's more recognized villains alongside Lex Luthor, although don't worry, you won't see him on this countdown, but Brainiac. Brainiac, to me, is a character that I would have liked to have seen Tim Burton's version of Brainiac, honestly, because it's about damn time that Brainiac is like a lead Superman villain. I think Warner Brothers needs to change up the monotony. If this Henry Cavill movie does well, I want to see Brainiac be the next villain. Because we've seen him in animated movies, we've seen him in animated cartoons, we've seen him in video games, all that. But we have yet to see a live-action interpretation of Brainiac. And damn it, he is long overdue for an appearance. But I digress. And we move on to number 3. And number 3 is not only a personal favorite of mine, but a personal favorite of F.W. Waller's, and that is the man known as Metallo. Metallo is also, yet again, another character that they could put in live action and make a significant threat, or at least like a sidekick villain or like a secondary villain. Yet they will never do that. Case in point for the reason of that, because a character like Metallo wouldn't be plausible to the casual audience. He's a cyborg with a human brain and a frickin' heart made of kryptonite. There's no way you can make a character like that serious. Now, if you want to make him serious and understandable and make the audience feel for him, use the Malcolm McDowell voiced animated series one. That one would go perfectly for a live action version of Metallo. Very perfect, I might add. And plus, I love Metallo, and I think it'd be cool to see a CG-esque Metallo fighting against Superman, especially if he goes into like giant robot mode like in the Superman Returns video game. Number 2. Number 2 on this list is the man or the monster in this case that killed the Man of Steel. Yes, the unstoppable, uncontrollable, pure rage, almost berserker-esque character Doomsday. And Doomsday ranks very high on this list because not only is Doomsday an unstoppable monster that even Superman can't handle, at times at least, but also Doomsday is the only character to actually kill Superman without the use of kryptonite. And that speaks tremendous volumes for Doomsday. Because you know that you're a very powerful villain if you can kill Superman without even using kryptonite. I mean, it's one thing that Doomsday caused, basically busted Superman's job, but it's a complete other with the fact that he went knockdown, drag out. I mean, we're talking 15 rounds with the Man of Steel. And yet, Doomsday still would not stay down and die. Also, you add in the fact that Doomsday, every time he's killed, he can't be killed the same way. You're looking at a monster that there's no real definitive way to take him down. So that's why Doomsday tends to rank very, very high on this list. But also, I put Doomsday very high on this list because, let's face it, this is arguably a villain that even Darkseid would run away from. And that says something tremendous. If you're so badass that even the tyrant leader of Apocalypse runs away from you, yeah, I would venture to say that even the Anti-Monitor would be destroyed by Doomsday. Yeah, I said it. Because it seems like DC makes Doomsday so powerful that he could literally take on anyone. He could take on Galactus and the Anti-Monitor at the same time. It's just ridiculous. There's no reason for a character to be that uber. But given Doomsday's origins and whatnot, it's not really surprising that he would be as powerful as he is. And it's that power that grants him very high in the number 2 spot here. But sadly, my money in terms of great Superman villains relies here with number 1. And I actually just mentioned him a while ago. And that character is the tyrant leader of Apocalypse, Darkseid. Now you're wondering, why Darkseid? Well, I'll tell you why Darkseid. Because Lex Luthor has pushed Superman's buttons, nearly got himself killed. Doomsday has been a big enough threat that Superman died at his hand, and Superman's had to basically lobotomize him, destroy him, all that stuff, and what have you. Didn't quite really work out. You had many other villains that have pushed Superman over the edge. You know, Zod, Imperiex, all these characters, but yet none of these characters have really earned the wrath of the Man of Steel more than Darkseid. Because Darkseid has destroyed people that Superman has loved. He even killed Batman. Darkseid is evil enough that actually he even pushed Bruce Wayne to want to use a gun. And Batman has never used a gun. Batman never wanted to use a gun. But in the case of Darkseid, he was willing to make an exception. And Superman has even admitted that if he were to kill Darkseid, he would feel nothing. He wouldn't feel ashamed or guilty because Darkseid would have deserved it. And you gotta be... And Superman's a very kind, almost loving-esque character. So for him to make a statement like that truly proves that Darkseid is the one villain that Superman is willing to go that extra route, go to that dark place for. And also, if you don't believe me, find clips from the animated cartoons. Find the movie Superman, Batman, Apocalypse. Watch those, and then come back and tell me that Darkseid doesn't deserve to be number 1 on this list. 'Cause, man, Superman and Darkseid's just manipulated Superman. He's done all this, he's done all that. I know I've already gone over that, but I'm just reiterating. This is a guy that has pushed Superman to past his moral boundary and beyond. But that is it. Darkseid is number 1, and that concludes, ladies and gentlemen, my top 10 list for my favorite Superman villains. Hold on a second. Where am I on this list? How come I'm not on this list? Because you're not one of my top 10 favorite villains, Lex. I hate to break that to you. What? Do you know who I am? Oh, shove it up your nostril, Chrome Dome. Anyway, aside from Lex Luthor sitting there crying and sucking his thumb about how he's none of my top 10 favorites, I do have something that I want to tell you guys. At the request of Two Mercy, many months ago, when I was working on my Batman thing, or rather after, I can't remember because it's been so long, or it feels like it was so long. Basically, I'm sitting here rambling on. Basically, the next top 10 video that I'm going to do is my top 10 favorite X-Men villains and heroes. Or my top 10 X-Men characters, yes. Just rate, subscribe, do all that stuff, and have a nice day, guys. I'm done.